Shoots and Score Hockey Talk, where we talk everything hockey. I am John.
I'm Mike.
I'm Chris.
All right, guys, let's go. The first topic in tonight's discussion, even though it was a few nights ago, is both of the 7-game series that Mike, I should have been in bed. I couldn't help myself. I had to watch both those games. Why don't you tell us what you thought of those 2 Game 7s? Because I thought they were amazing. I couldn't shut the TV off.
Yeah, they were both excellent games. We'll start with the Colorado Dallas game, and
Yes.
Dallas came out a little flat to say the least. Colorado was all over them for the first 2 periods for the most part, and then became the Mikko Rantanen show, and he took over. He basically put the team on his back and brought Dallas back from the dead, because there's no way I thought Dallas was winning that game in the third period until they got within one. I'm like, okay, well, Colorado needs to get the next one, and they couldn't. And Ottinger played really well. Blackwood was Blackwood. But
Mm-hmm.
you can't
What you
blame
said
him on
earlier
that.
in the year.
Yeah,
Yep.
and you can't blame him for the tying goal there, the one that went in off the skate and in the net. Like, I believe that was the tying goal, the wraparound.
It
So
was, yeah. That was a crappy goal, though.
it
What are the
was just
chances of that
it
going
had
in?
not have hit the defenseman, it wasn't going to go in. So it's just, you know what, when the bounces start going your way, it just tends to happen that way. And that's kind of what happened with Dallas. They got and Rantanen's, the goals that he scored aside from that, like, he's not missing too many when he's in the high slot, like where he was to start scoring off. So it was an excellent game, a lot of back and forth, more so from the third period uh, perspective of it. Like I said, Colorado was playing really well the first 2 periods, and then Dallas just took the game over. So um, and Ottinger made all the saves he needed to make. Just when you thought, you know what, Colorado's going to get the next one,
Yeah,
he
they
was
just
there.
couldn't do it.
He was there to close the door.
Bef-
Then the Winnipeg St. Louis game as well. St. Louis right off the bat gets scores on the first shot. Then they scored another one. Like, oh boys, they're going to win this game the way it's going. And then third period, still they were had this game under control up until Winnipeg pulled the goalie. You could see the momentum starting to shift the last 5 minutes when the Jets really started to turn it on. But St. Louis still had chances in the third period to make it a 3-goal game,
yep.
and they just couldn't get another one past Hellebuck. He looked on his game after that, and then the Jets with the magic there to make it within one, and then to score with 2 seconds left to tie it. Um, Cole Perfetti, who was very inconsistent throughout the year. He had his hot streaks and cold streaks, and they got him on the hot streak on the right game. And to be missing Mark Scheifele in the game too, to come back and win that game, you know, you could sense it was going to happen once Winnipeg got the two late goals. You could just sense that they were going to win that game, and sure enough, they did.
Still, it went into double overtime.
Yeah,
It took a while.
yeah.
But,
Yeah,
man, what a
I'll be
game.
I'll be honest. I thought Winnipeg was probably going to win that game in the first 5 minutes of the first overtime if they could. I thought was going to be their better chance to win it, because they had the momentum ending that third period, and I thought if they get off to a quick start in the overtime, they'd end it quick. But St. Louis kind of stuck with it, and then a deflection and in the net for the overtime game winner. And that's one of the things that I noticed at St. Louis. They had a few decent chances in the slot to shoot, and they passed
They
it.
passed it, yeah.
And the pass got intercepted or deflected. So they passed up a couple of really good scoring chances. I know Robert Thomas had one. I'm like, oh man, you got to shoot that. And then, he's trying to make the pass over to Buchnevic, and it's, the Jets defenseman gets a piece of it. And it's chances like that you can't pass them up. You got to take those shots. I know you want to get the perfect play to score the goal because clearly you want to have an open net to shoot at, but sometimes just shooting the puck and you know worked for Winnipeg. Last goal, shot from the point, deflected in, series over.
It was something else. Like I said, I stayed up way later
Yeah,
that night than I should have. I could not turn the television off. I had to see the end of it. Well, it's a good thing it didn't go on much longer, so
yeah,
I would have been in a lot of trouble the next day. All right. Well, I mean, they were very good games, but
yeah,
and I wanted to talk about them a little bit here, just because they were, Game Sevens, NHL, first round Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, you just can't get much better than that.
yeah.
So, all
And
right. Well,
Bennington played really well too. Like, can't fault him whatsoever on
no,
any of those goals. I mean,
I think I wonder now. It's going to be interesting to see, guys, if Hellebuck has his confidence back come the next round here. Very interesting. I'll be keeping my eye on a close eye on him to see.
That's $1 million question because if
yeah,
not, Winnipeg is not going to last long if Hellebuck's not the best player for the Jets.
Well, you said it really, really well last week, Chris, when you said, they're a good team, but then when Hellebuck is on his game, when he's the best player on the ice, they're a great team,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's true. It is very, very true. They bit and clawed their way back that night. I just couldn't believe it. And the Dallas game, Rantanen, that goal he scored from the wraparound off the guy's skate, that was like within an inch of hitting the post and not going in, or
yeah.
2 inches, or whatever it is in Canada, a few centimeters. There we go. So, I mean, wow, pretty amazing. Well, let's go on to our second topic because, that was in the past. Now we have to talk a little bit about the future, right? Now, the second round it's started now in the East. Well, sorry, it started, and there's only one game in for each side on the East, and and obviously Winnipeg hasn't played yet. But I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on round two. What do you think, Chris? Let's start with you.
yep. Starting with Florida and Toronto. Toronto had a great start there and held on at the end. Um, I know there was some couple incidents that we'll probably talk about later in the show, but it's a good start for them. Like I said, I have I don't know. I just got that. My head's telling me I think the Leafs are going to pull this out, even though I prefer to play Florida and get the revenge on them. But
I know you want the revenge
I want the
desperately.
revenge. And Florida, after the slow start, did start to come on there. But yeah, I think the series is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a coin flip at the end of who moves on to the third round. Um, Carolina, Washington, the game I watched from the start to end. Pretty much exactly what the analytics kind of forecasted for this series, right? They're all favoring Carolina, and shot volume versus shot quality was the big talking point on
Mm-hmm.
with PK and Messier and Pronger
Right.
during the intermissions, and then the broadcast. Even Ray Ferraro was like, "I prefer shot quality." I I love I love the takes out there on this whole Carolina style and how everyone believes. Well, it's easy to prepare for, but it's hard to play against, and it's very true because when you're doing shot volume, every time you shoot the puck, you're giving up the puck, right? You are giving up possession of the puck. So why is Carolina retrieving the puck and shooting again, retrieving the puck and shooting again, right? That's they perfected the systems while everyone else is trying to play like that. You got to have the guys with that mentality, right? You got to have the right players that are willing to work really hard, and it showed up in that. I know it was 2-1 in overtime, but Carolina hit 4 goalposts. They should have won that game probably 4 or 5-1. Washington should have been booed out of their home arena with the way they were playing. I'm sure there's going to be more pushback in game two for sure, but overall, as the series goes on, you'll continue to see Carolina out shooting and winning all the battles there. And again, I expect them to win this. I think I said in five, right?
Yes.
Yes, I think I said they should win this in five, even though they're starting off on the road. And of course,
So
we also talked about it's not a series until you win on the road.
right.
Toronto
Yep.
held serve, right? So Nothing's really occurring there. But when you lose at home the first game, that first game probably does matter a little bit more than a home team win in the first game of the series. So let's see
But
what.
you said you were expecting some pushback from Washington. Do you think they're going to win game two? Do you think like what would you put a probability of?
I wouldn't be
You know,
surprised, but I still expect Carolina. Like I only see Washington getting momentum and pushing through if Wilson or Ovechkin hit somebody and hurt somebody or knock somebody out of the game. That's the only way I see it. Um, and quickly talking about Wilson, if there was an analytic stat about falling down on the ice per 60 minutes, I would think that he would lead that. He dropped, I counted 6 times, just falling down, right? And he's 6'4", 235, and he is
well,
flopping, looking for penalties. Now, I
well,
understand they
maybe,
probably want the power play and they want Ovechkin because that's their bread and butter, but man, oh
well,
man.
maybe he's having some inner ear problems. You never know. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know what's going on with that guy, but yeah, I couldn't believe how many times he was flopping and then running to the refs, crying and whining is pretty bad.
Well, he got a lot of publicity from the way he was crying in the Montreal series, and maybe he likes that, so he's trying to do it again. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, luckily we don't have a Josh Anderson, so we're not going to have anybody that's going to fight with him or really egg him on, right? So it's probably frustrating him a little bit that there is no one on that side, on Carolina's side that'll answer the bell most likely.
All right, Mike, let's talk a little bit about the West. I mean, Chris gave us a rundown of the East and what he thought. What do you think about the West? I mean, like I was trying to say and goofed it there in the opening when I was talking. Winnipeg has not played yet, which is understandable because they played that 7 game, just a few nights ago. They're playing tonight, obviously. What do you think?
Yeah, so we'll start with the Winnipeg Dallas series because that's the one that hasn't started yet.
Right,
So
and they both went to game sevens, both teams. So
right, so Shifley's supposed to be in the lineup tonight, is what they're saying, and they're saying that Morrissey maybe is a game time decision. So if they can get these guys back, that'll help. Um, Robertson is a game time decision as well for Dallas,
right,
unless there's been some update just in the last few minutes that I haven't heard. Um, and Heskinen is not going to play tonight, so they said he's a maybe for game two. So I mean, they've been saying this for the last 7 games as far as Heskinen goes. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so this is going to be a tight series, depending on how well Hellebuck plays. I think Dallas has the deeper team when it comes to offense and defense. So I mean, once Morrissey left that game uh, last last game, Pionk played 42 minutes, and
yeah, yeah,
Sandberg played 40. I mean, Sandberg's a solid defenseman, but and Pionk as well. He's a little more on the offensive side compared to what they have on that team. Most of that team's defense is not a scoring defense, whereas Dallas has a little bit more than that. With if they get Heskinen back too, they get Heskinen, Harley, and a little more physical. Suter plays a physical game as well. So I like Dallas's depth. As far as goaltending, I find the matchups slightly favors Winnipeg on paper, although Jake Ottinger is a big game goalie as well. So,
right.
um, and when it comes to the offense, the depth for Dallas, I think, is a little bit more than what Winnipeg has. So I expect Dallas to win this series. Um, Switching over to Vegas and Edmonton. So they played last night. Oilers won 4-2 after being down quickly 2-0.
What a
Uh,
shocker!
yeah. So I mean, and I heard the stat today that they've won 5 games in a row that they've been trailing. So they're the
And
first
yep,
team in playoff history, I think they said, that has won uh, 5 games in a row when trailing all 5 games. So Calvin Pickard looks like the answer, I guess.
he looked good last night,
Yeah, he did.
except for maybe the
Now,
first
I
goal.
think this might be a Cinderella, or not a Cinderella story, but what's the one, the Snow White, where once they lose the slipper, then we'll see what happens. I'm not totally sold on Pickard getting them through this series. However, if Edmonton can get the offense going like they have been, they've got a chance to win this. So on paper, I think Vegas is the favorite, based off of uh, forward depth, defense depth, and I know they were missing Peter Angelo last game, which does not help them. I think Peter Angelo in that lineup, they may have won that game because I mean, if you discount the empty net goal, the game's 3-2. So, and Peter Angelo is pretty strong defenseman. So, goaltending, I think Vegas has the edge in nets as well. So it's a matter of them, jumping on the Oilers like they did last game, but keeping it going. Vegas was missing Dorofeyev as well, 35 goal scorer in the regular season. Not sure what his injury is. They haven't really said. So, getting him and Peter Angelo back would be a big boost to the offense there. So I'm still leaning towards Vegas winning this series, but I think it's going to go 7 games. And if it goes 7 games, it's a coin flip, I guess, but I'll pick Vegas.
All right. All right. That's very interesting. I mean, I knew you had picked Vegas, and, Edmonton looked, yeah, okay. Of course, they got behind early. I mean, what else is new, right? But
My
man, there's
main,
just something about that team. They just won't give up.
I agree, but my main concern with that team is if Vegas can limit McDavid and Draisaitl, I don't think the Oilers have the depth to
Right. Like they
win
did 2
games.
years ago.
So, and that should be Vegas's game plan. And they're not going to totally stop, Draisaitl and McDavid. But if you limit the damage that they can do, Vegas should outscore them. Like Vegas has 2, 3 lines that can score goals. So we'll see what happens as the series goes along.
All right. Well, Chris and I were talking just before you got online here, and Chris made an interesting observation, and I think I have to agree with him here. He thought that Stone last night that he looked slow.
I find Stone always looks slow, but I don't think he's slow, but just the pace that he plays at, it's it does look like it's a slow pace to his game. But for him, it's more being positioning and being in the right spot at the right time, I think.
So it's not, well, I guess it would be then deceptive speed of death. Is that what's
Well,
going on there?
he's not,
Speed.
Does he have the deceptive speed of death?
the thing is he's not listed like, or been classified, I guess, as a slow skater, but he doesn't stand out with any speed whatsoever.
No.
Um, but he's efficient, I guess. I mean, yeah, he's been a productive player for so many years now in the league. So
He's been a 60 pointer for a long time, hasn't he?
yeah, and not only that, but he's close to a point a game when you actually look at his numbers because
Right.
he's generally misses a lot of time too. Like this
Right.
year, he missed 10 or 15 games, something like that.
He
Last
usually likes to
year, the
take
year before,
January to March off. He
yeah.
likes the winter months. He wants to do some skiing, relax, and then show up come playoff time. That's
Probably working on his deceptive speed of death.
yeah,
That's what's
yeah,
going
yeah. So
on.
he's not putting the work in. So when he gets on the ice, he's like, "Wow, I feel slow out here," but he's still good enough to contribute. Yeah,
So that's why whenever you pick in a regular season hockey pool and you're picking Mark Stone, expect 65-ish points, which is pretty close to a point a game for him because that's about the amount of games he's going to play.
yeah.
All right. All right. Well, that's good. Well said. All right. Well, we're going to go on to our third topic if you guys are done there. And I want to talk a little bit about Mikko Rantanen. And I have to ask you, and I tried to look it up, but Google was not being very helpful. Okay. But have either of you, do you remember seeing 2 back-to-back 4-point performances in a game 6 and game 7 series to win the series? Have you ever seen that before?
I don't think it has happened. I think that's the first time that it's happened.
Yeah, I know we have a limited budget for research and analytics on the show. But I did try to spend a little time trying to find, going through some of the top playoff scores and going through the games and seeing what happened. Game 6 and 7, no, I did not see anything of that magnitude. What's close? I got the three that I'll quickly mention that I noticed.
Okay.
Wayne Gretzky, I think it was 82-83. It was against the Blackhawks, and then whoever they played in the Stanley Cup, probably the Islanders, I'm assuming. He had 7 points in the last two games of both series, but they weren't game 6 and 7, but still.
Right.
But
Fair enough.
against the Blackhawks, that game 6 win, they won 8-0. So you're not talking about a competitive game, right? But he's racking up points, whatever you want to think. But yeah, Gretzky
Just like
had,
the regular season.
yeah, so Gretzky's done that. I think I saw 3 times 7 points. But again, I think the other one was against the Jets when they swept them or something. One of the sweeps against the Jets. So yeah, but Gretzky, I guess, is close to it. Mario Lemieux had 7 points in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Minnesota North Stars in Game 5 and 6. So you could say that's a bigger venue,
Right.
right? The Stanley Cup Finals,
Right.
putting up
Yes.
that kind of production. So I think he would probably be the closest to it. And then just a quick mention, the one that has jumped out of the page was Leon Draisaitl. Scored 17 points in 5 games against the Calgary Flames. So he
Whoops.
had multiple 4-point games. Right? The average what was 3 point, whatever it is, 3.5, 3.7 points per game.
Right.
Ridiculous. I was just shocked. I was like, what the? I think it was 3 years ago. Might have been 3 years ago when they did that to the Flames. But yeah, I checked some other guys, but no one else had 8 points in the last 2 games in game 6 and 7. No. But
Well,
yeah,
Rantanen
so if we
took
got a
himself.
limited budget, that's the best I can do.
Well, Rantanen took himself from bottom of the scoring race to number one scorer after the first round by getting 8 points in 2 games. I mean, geez, he jumped right up there, took over the lead. So I'm gonna have to ask both of you, what do you think? Do you think Rantanen was worth what Dallas paid?
Absolutely,
Obviously,
it was worth it. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
they gave up 2 first-round picks and
two
a
thirds.
top prospect
Yeah.
Right.
for a top 10 player in the league. And you know what? I don't find that the salary they gave him is really that ludicrous. To be honest with you, it's a top 10 player in the league. He's gonna make that money.
Right.
So, uh, and you're not gonna get those players on off free agency. There's no way that these guys go to free agency. So, I would give up 2 first-round picks and a prospect. Mind you, he's a good one. I mean, Stankoven's good, but when you factor in what those first-round picks are going to be, it's the Dallas Stars. They're going to be top
Yep.
10 in the league. So
Yep. They're
they're
not
not
going to be
giving
great
up.
picks.
They're not giving up like a Bedard or a McKenna who's coming up next year. Like they're not giving up a pick like that. So it's a great deal for them, my opinion.
Okay.
And there's a reason why Carolina traded for him in the first place, right? That
Yeah.
was the game breaker they wanted come playoff time. But he was never a rental, and that's why when it became a rental situation, they moved on and got some assets.
All right. Well, very, very interesting. But we're going to go on to our fourth topic for this evening. And I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't really sure what the fourth topic was going to be. I was thinking about it a couple of nights ago. And then this happened. The entire Anthony Stolarz and Sam Bennett incident. Now, we now know no disciplinary action is going to be taken against Bennett. He made contact with Stolarz in the crease, and 10 minutes later, Stolarz left the game. He was in pretty bad shape. He was puking on the bench. I heard the reporter say that he was throwing up when he was being carried out on the stretcher. Sure signs of a concussion. I need to ask you. I want to ask the both of you. I'll start with Mike. What do you think of this, Mike? What do you think of this whole thing? Should he have been penalized for that? I mean, did you see the play? I'm sure you did. What do you think?
Yeah, I saw the play, but it's these type of plays you see so frequently now. There's always traffic in front of the net, especially in the playoffs. and the goalies are getting bumped. They're at the top of the crease. It's gonna happen. Do I think it should have been a penalty? It's hard to say. It all depends on where the referee's positioning was at the time. Because if you're not in the right spot to see what kind of contact there was, you're not going to call it, and that could have been the case. So I can see that why it was not called a penalty. Um, some referees might have called it a penalty. It's really hard to say, to be honest with you, just because some things you think are penalties and they're not. Like we had referenced a couple episodes ago when Frederick Anderson got hit into the net by Timo
Yep.
Meyer, and that wasn't a penalty. And to me, that was worse than this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty hard to call a penalty on this if you're not going to call a penalty on that. That's my kind of stance on it. And you're going to see this the whole playoffs. All these goalies, I don't know how many times I've seen a goalie falling back in the net. They're going to get bumped, and it's a strategy that these teams employ to. And I'm not saying they're intentionally trying to hurt the goalie, but if they give the goalie a little bit of a bump and get away with it, it's going to piss the other teams off, and they may take some retaliatory penalties. It's going to happen. And as far as Stolarz getting hurt, not totally sure that is the sole reason why he was hurt, because he did take that shot off the head, and he came out of the game not long after that. So uh, they're thinking that maybe a combination of the two was the reason for that, because he did play
Yeah,
another 10 minutes after the Sam Bennett thing. So
I'm guessing that it's a combination of both incidents. Chris,
yeah,
what do you think about all this?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Mike just laid out. I was going to say the same thing. I believe the shot to the head was probably the key contributor to it. You know, Chris Nowowski, former wrestler who's now a
Nowinski, yeah,
trauma expert, right? He looked at it and he said, as soon as he starts shaking his head, that's a sign that he got his bell rung, right?
Yep.
Um, on the play itself, there, there's Bennett barely touched him, right? Again, I think it's because he was already concussed is why he dropped.
Right.
Because there was it wasn't a forearm shiver. He didn't extend. He's just going through
Elbows out.
because he also had the puck, right? He was bringing the puck out there, right? So he's
Well,
focused
that's
on
why
stick
it's so
handling.
unusual, because he had the puck at the time.
Yeah,
It's so rare that you see it done that way.
yeah. So did he know he was there? Probably.
Oh yeah, I'm
Was he
sure he did.
okay with a little bit of contact? Yes. Was he trying to hurt him? No. Was he trying to, really ring his bell? No, I don't believe it. And like we said, Timo Meyer, if that's not a penalty, well then, Sam Bennett's got a license to go in the crease and just kind of brush every goalie in the league, right? Unless the league and the referees want to really clamp down on any contact, which I thought there was a rule, right? Any contact in the crease, they blow the whistle, right?
Right.
But I haven't seen that play called by the referees in a long time. But nope, I agree with everything else Mike said on that subject.
Well, the reason why I wanted to bring it up, of course, is because I'm a Leafs fan. But I didn't really think that he did. I think he intentionally bumped into him. Yeah, of course I do. Although it's strange because he had the puck, like I said, which is a bit unusual.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe it's a combination of both incidents, to be totally honest with you. And unfortunately, we're going to see more and more of this
And
as the
just to
playoffs
add,
go
I
on.
think
you
for
are.
Sam Bennett, his name brings up,
Well,
I
that's
think he
another
did
reason
something,
why.
right?
Yeah, it's another reason why I wanted to ask it, because there's no doubt that Sam Bennett is riding the line.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Anybody that watches can see that.
If it was Jesper Boyquist that did the exact same thing, I think there's probably less talk about the
Absolutely,
incident.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Like, so if it's Bennett, Marchand, or Tachuk,
Yeah.
it's going to get the airtime
Right.
because
Yeah.
of those three guys and how their style of play is.
All right. Well, let's move on to our Hockey Profit segment, where you two are the Hockey Profits. At least that's what I believe. And even though you had some wrong answers in the first series, you're
Yeah.
still the Hockey Profit. Okay. I've got my timer all ready here. So, Chris, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Number one, Chris, hot or not? Sebastian Aho. Is he hot or not?
Of course he's hot. Carolina's winning. He's the number one center. He's driving the bus on the team. He's probably the well. I know some people might say Slavin, but he's the best player on the team and future captain whenever Stahl retires. So yeah, as long as they're doing well, it's going to be on his shoulders. He is hot.
Okay, number 2, Mike. Will the Vegas Golden Knights be tougher than the LA Kings for the Oilers to beat?
Yeah, I have to say yes. I mean, I thought the Kings were going to be tough for them as well, but it only gets tougher from this point out. So
Okay, number 3, Chris. Which goalie would you rather have on your team? Logan Thompson or Jean-Luc Picard? Oh, I mean Calvin Picard. Which one would you
Oh,
rather have on your
Thompson
team?
for sure. It's not even close. It's Thompson. He's pretty confident. Great stats this year. Looking really good. Jean-Luc Picard. Yeah, he's just one game away from getting hooked. So
Really? See, I kind of think he's going to have to lose 2 games to get hooked, but we'll talk about that after a bit. Okay, number 4, Mike. Hot or not? Jake Ottinger from the Stars. Is he hot?
I would say so. Yeah. I think that they very easily would have lost that game without the saves that he made in Game 7. And I mean, Colorado's offense is phenomenal. So to win that series alone, it's on Jake Ottinger to win that series. And I get that Rantanen had the great games, but they don't win that series without Jake Ottinger.
Okay, number 5, Chris. Is game 1 between the Stars and the Jets going to be dull because both teams have gone 7 games?
historically, we've seen teams coming off a 7 game series crap the bed in the first game,
But
and
now they've both done it, so who's going to
they've
come out
both
ahead
done
here?
it. So emotions, it'll be hard for them to get their emotions back up to the levels they need be. So it's probably not. In theory, it should be a slow pace, not exciting game. But again, it just takes one big hit, one big incident to get the blood boiling again. But yeah, it's I won't be staying up to watch that game. Let's put it that way.
Number 6, and I'm sure you guys will be glad when this is all over with. Mike, Chris sent me a post on Monday, and the post that he shared with me showed that the Capitals are least likely to go to the Stanley Cup from the East. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I would have to agree because I think that one, that I think Carolina's going to win that series. So, and two, I think whoever they would face, if even if they did win that series between Toronto and Florida, I think that the team from the Atlantic is going to win. So, and I still believe that's going to be Florida. Sorry to say.
All right. Okay. Well, I think you're wrong, but that's all right.
That was
Okay.
a shot against me and you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
sorry. I just think Florida's going to be too strong.
I'm used to taking the shots. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add to tonight's discussion?
Um, yeah, the draft lottery Monday night.
Yeah. What did you think
Islanders.
about that?
Wow, 10
The
spots,
Islanders.
first pick. Oof,
They
that's
did
big.
they move up 10 spots?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And then who who moved into the second spot? Moved up 14 picks or something?
Utah went to 4.
Yeah. Yes,
Utah went to
Utah
4.
moved to 4. So they moved up a ton as well. So
Well, that's good
which
for Utah.
yeah, and it sucks for the Flyers because we got bumped 2 spots. So now
Oh,
we drop to 6 instead of 4. I mean, I still think that there's 6 solid players out there, but I was really hoping to have one of the top 4 picks, and the worst possible scenario happened. So we dropped 2 spots and pick 6 now. So, and little side note is I think the current number 6 pick is Desnoyer of the Wildcats, projected 6 pick, and the Flyers have already drafted his brother. So who knows? Maybe we'll see. Elliot.
somebody had Caleb number 3 in their projections. They're saying
Well,
he's moving up.
I've seen a variety. So I mean, he's to go anywhere between 3 and 6 or 7 or whatnot. So
Mm-hmm.
projected so far, but yeah, the Islanders winning the draft. I mean, I would think they got to pick Schaefer. I mean,
Right.
he's you're not going to get a number one defenseman there. I don't think that they, and not that they don't need the offense, because trust me, they do. They need some forwards too, but I think they should be picking Schaefer with that pick. I expect them to keep it. So
Right. Well, they need somebody to run their damn power play. Holy jeez.
yeah, crappy for the Sharks because I think they really need a number one defenseman. So I think they're probably hoping the Islanders will pass and take a forward because I think Schaefer's best fit for the San Jose Sharks because they really don't have a strong depth on defense. But we'll see what happens between now and the draft.
Has it ever, does it, either of you know, has it ever happened before where a team has moved up 10 spots to get the number one pick? I can't imagine.
Well, I
Number
know the
one.
Flyers jumped pretty big to move up to the number 2 spot like 6 7 years ago and they picked Nolan Patrick. So the Flyers I think were probably the last team to jump that many spots. I don't recall the number of spots, but it was
Yeah,
a big jump. What's
Carolina
that?
jumped for Shevnikov for number 2, but I don't remember where they were. But I thought they were 10. I thought they were in the teens also.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Well,
But
so it can
one,
happen. Obviously, it does happen.
yeah, yeah.
All right. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it there for tonight. And yeah, so like, share, and subscribe, guys, and let us know where we went wrong because I'm sure we went wrong somewheres. And we'll see you next week. All right, guys. Later.
Later.